Once upon a time, in the English countryside, a herd of goats lived in a sanctuary. Over time, they forged powerful connections with their carers. They'd do anything for a treat, making them perfect candidates for intelligence testing. These pioneers are turning our understanding of the species on its head, with some amazing performances from these creatures. Their skills stem from their adaptation to the kinds of places goats originated, the mountains. In the Alps, this kid lives with a herd, but still enjoys its independence, which allows it to develop its mental capacities. In Morocco, caprine are able to subsist on some very hostile land. While in Devon, England, these acrobats have returned to the wild, colonizing the cliffs. Far from the lives of their cousins in the USA, who participate in goat shows. And even yoga classes. But why are goats so smart? Let's go meet the gifted goats at the farm, these free spirits who are so delightfully appealing. Our story begins southeast of London. In the heart of the Kent countryside, the Buttercup Sanctuary is home to goats that have been abandoned or mistreated. In the morning, the residents wait impatiently for their breakfast. Each goat has a name. Every day, their carers go around delivering their rations of grain. To make sure each goat gets the right food, portions are served individually.
There you go.
The reason why there are so many locks is because goats are famous for attempting to get into places where they shouldn't. But the locks don't stop everyone. This billy goat named Rupert, who has lived here for 6 years, has made a specialty of it. He's a real greedy guts and likes coming into the office to chew the paperwork.
Come on. Out you go. Good boy.
You will move. You will move. Come on. Let's go. Kick. Out you go.
This ability to break down any barrier to their freedom is a sign of ingeniousness.
See you later.
And yet, there has been little research into the intelligence of goats, whose brains are relatively small compared to the rest of their bodies. To fix this, animal behavior and welfare experts, Dr. Alan McElligott from the University of Roehampton and Dr. Luigi Bacciadona from the Queen Mary University of London are carrying out some tests at the sanctuary. Rupert's tricks are what inspired them. These zoologists have adapted a system used with monkeys, a two-step release. This relatively complex mechanism has 2 phases to it. First, the lever must be pulled, and then it must be lifted to release the reward. When he first encountered the puzzle around a month ago, Rupert solved it after a dozen attempts. Will he remember how it works? Yes, he's done it. But are all goats capable of this? This is Princess Leia, a floppy-eared nanny goat. Her favorite thing is sharing breakfast with Matthew, her carer.
Good girl.
Aged just 2, she has never been seen opening a door before. For the zoologists, she makes an excellent comparison. They have trained her to use the two-step mechanism. After a few attempts, she gets it.
Well done, Princess. Well done.
It was the same for most of the participants in the study. For the scientists, it proves that goats can solve complex problems, and they remember what they have learned. Let's hope that Princess Leia doesn't start opening doors too. To understand how such skills evolved, we need to head for the French Alps. The village of Roure sits on the edges of the Mercantour National Park and is just waking up from a harsh winter. In the communal enclosure, the newborns are still vulnerable. These little ones belong to Barbichette, a nanny goat who gave birth 2 weeks ago. They are female twins, and she recognizes them by their scent. That's how she ensures she only feeds her own babies. But when they're bigger, things will be different. Billeted in a nursery corner, the young goats call out to their mothers. It doesn't look like much, but this behavior is remarkable. Because olfactory identification only works at close range, they have memorized their respective bleating. Each kid's cry is a call to a particular nanny goat. The kids are locked up to save the milk, which is to be used to make cheese. After milking, the kids are released. Impatient to suckle what's left. Despite the seeming chaos, each one finds their own mother. First by listening, and then by smell. A study carried out by zoologists at the sanctuary in England proves that goats can remember the call of their young for 11 months following weaning. For these animals, who live in large groups, bleating is an essential way to stay in contact as they move around the rough terrain. Barbichette's kids need to learn to follow the herd. But it's not so easy. Eventually, the little black one recognizes her mother's call. But Barbichette is under attack. Having been isolated from the herd for 2 weeks following the birth, she is considered an intruder and needs to fight to be accepted back into the fold. Inside, the fight continues. It may seem excessive, but this struggle for power is quite normal for goats. They use their horns to establish their place in the pecking order. During mealtimes, the little ones are kept apart for now. And to avoid taking a blow, some kids have a trick up their sleeves. That spot up there looks perfect, but how do you get there? With a game of leapfrog. The ewes don't react. With this breed, only the males have horns, but they seem, however, pretty calm. Barbichette's confrontation calms down once the hierarchy has been reestablished. The goats make their peace with one another after a fight, demonstrating their social intelligence. Back at the sanctuary in Kent, headbutts are also part of goat speak. But the grammar is somewhat simple compared to bleating. Heidi has been at Buttercups for 6 years. She was taken in because her former owners weren't taking proper care of her. Unlike her sponsor, who visits her every Tuesday. At the sound of her sponsor's voice, Heidi comes straight over. This volunteer pays for Heidi's food and lodging. She keeps Heidi's quarters spick and span.
It's okay.
Heidi doesn't leave her side.
That's a good girlie, aren't you? That's a good girl. There, Danny girl.
This close relationship has evolved through language and physical contact. But how much do goats actually communicate? With us and with each other? To find out, the zoologists are giving Heidi a sound test. During this new experiment, bleating will be played through a speaker. And Heidi's heart rate will be analyzed. The broadcast begins. Heidi reacts at the first sound. This bleating was recorded when a goat could see its food arriving and was experiencing a positive feeling. Then Heidi gets used to the sound and goes back to her grazing. But when a different sound is played, she becomes more attentive. This time, it's the sound of a goat that is frustrated at being isolated from other goats. Heidi looks around to see who is making this troublesome noise. This reaction proves that she is conscious of the emotional message in the bleating. Analysis of her heart rate confirms this observation. It slows when the cry is repeated and accelerates when the bleating is more negative. A sign that other goats' emotions are contagious. Both in England and on other continents. In southern Morocco, on the edge of the Sahara, is a Berber encampment. Here, too, every day begins with a chorus of animals keen for their freedom. These cries reinforce the cohesion between members of the herd. Especially amongst worried mothers and their adventurous offspring. In this herd, births are not controlled by the goat herds. Males and females live together year-round, and their language is made up of strange amorous sounds. This is a billy in heat. But the female is not yet receptive. She indicates her disapproval by sneezing. In the world of goats, this is a warning. The billy continues his pursuit to encourage the nanny to come into heat. He has an intense desire to procreate, driven by a high level of hormones. And he's not the only one. This young billy goat uses words and actions. He tries to interest her by striking her with his hoof. It doesn't work. The goats are too busy looking for something to eat in this harsh environment. The Sousse Plain is very arid. It is suited to animals whose physiology has adapted to drought conditions. Camels have fatty reserves on their humps that they can transform into water if needed. It's also how they regulate their body temperature. And having a flexible 2-meter-long neck means they can reach leaves growing higher up. Goats aren't so lucky. So how do they survive in the desert? For water, options are limited. The goat herd brings in tanks of water to feed the animals. But they need to find their own food. Let's follow this straggler who is looking for something to eat. It looks like a challenge, given how infertile the land seems. This ochre-color kid returns to her mother. The herd seems to have an idea. They are heading for an argon plantation. These forests are unique because the argan tree only grows in Morocco. It looks a little like an olive tree. The argan fruits fall to the ground, to the delight of the animals who gobble them up and spit out the seeds. There is not enough fruit to satisfy them. But the leaves would fill them up. To reach them, the goats follow their instincts from their past in the mountains. They turn into acrobats to feed in the tree. Down on the ground, the ochre-colored kid seems to be at a disadvantage. She doesn't know how to climb yet, but she's determined not to give up. At last. As she eats her fill, she forgets that this is the first time she's been up so high. She calls out to her mother in vain. She's safely down. Demonstrating a high level of corporal awareness, this goat performs this balancing act for several hours each day. Thanks to their extremely sensitive lips, they can snaffle up the argan leaves without hurting themselves on the thorns. The flip side of the coin is that these forests are now being overgrazed. As the locals say, the goat is the poor man's cow, but when there's enough of them, they raze the forest to the ground. They are intrepid and bold. And in this dizzying landscape, nothing puts them off. We are near Linton, over the Bristol Channel in the west of England. These domesticated goats have been released back into the wild. Perfectly adapted to the northern European climate, they live like their chamois cousins. Like them, they trot across steep slopes and escarpments with incredible agility. Their flexible hooves are split in two, and each half acts like a suction cup. They have been tagged by researchers monitoring their populations. These primitive English goats are the descendants of herds that arrived here some 7,000 years ago. But after millennia of good and faithful service, they were replaced by a breed that produces more milk. They were abandoned at the end of the 19th century and now live far away from their former masters. How do they manage without humans? These goats are very selective in what they eat. This gray nanny explores the cliffs on the hunt for her favorite food. Sometimes she eats grass, but she prefers plants that are rich in cellulose that her digestive system can transform into nutrients. She selects them according to their smell and their appearance. Like this purple foxglove with its bell-shaped flowers. It tastes and feels good in her mouth. Their diet in Devon is extremely varied. In total, these wild goats eat around 30 different plants. According to scientists, selecting which plants to eat and memorizing their location helps them grow more intelligent. Perhaps why they are such excellent explorers. While sheep eat only grass on virtually flat land, goats are ideal for keeping the vegetation down on the cliff tops. But their own greediness often leads them into trouble. Their wanderings sometimes lead them into a nearby village, where the residents' flowers look very similar to the wildflowers on the cliffs. But in this area, which is popular with tourists, innkeepers are very proud of their flower beds and are not prepared to let the goats destroy them. The town hall has decided to cull or rehome all the males in order to keep the size of the herd down to something manageable. So no kids have been born this year. These one-year-old kids might be the last generation of wild goats in this valley. Saved from the cull, these billy goats were taken in by the Buttercup's goat sanctuary. They can be recognized by their long, primitive horns and by how they keep their distance from humans. Unlike the other residents, who love to be indulged from morning to night. Today, Princess Leia's hooves are going to be cleaned and trimmed.
Very good girl, actually.
Then she's weighed.
Back leg.
It's all good.
52. Okay.
But sick or depressed residents get special treatment. Carers and volunteers take them for therapeutic walks. They stimulate their appetite with treats to give them back a taste for life and the strength to heal.
Oh, yummy.
goats, which were once mistreated, gradually regain their confidence in humans. Others already have a much stronger connection. Abandoned at the age of just 2 weeks, Vern was bottle-fed here. He's almost like a pet. He is going to take part in an experiment to find out how goats interact with humans. To start with, some pasta is placed in this box. That was easy because it wasn't closed. In the second stage, the lid is sealed. Vern looks to see how to open it as the zoologist looks on. But the task seems impossible. The zoologist now comes to his rescue. In the third stage, the lid is sealed again. What will Vern do now? This is where the experiment really begins.
But they should turn for help very quickly.
Faced with this challenge, the goat looks around for human help and asks for it with an affectionate nuzzle. The slightly dazed zoologist wasn't expecting that much attention. He is amazed by the impact domestication has had on these farm animals. Just like dogs and cats, they establish affectionate relationships with us. At tea time, the staff at the sanctuary take a break, and the residents take advantage.
Baby girl? Baby girl? Oh, talk to
But
me.
why are these goats so sociable? Is it to do with their relationships within the herd? Back to the Mercantour to find out more about their way of life. At 2,000 meters above sea level are the high pastures, where the animals live in summer. Goats and sheep spend the night in a cave, sheltered from predators. Barbichette is here. But only the black kid has come up to the high pastures. The mortality rate for kids is relatively high, and her brown-colored sister, the weaker of the two, did not survive. In the morning, the goat herd comes to let the animals out. Together, they charge down 200 meters of altitude to reach the pasture. What happens here reveals some complex social behavior. Firstly, when they reach the plateau, the group splits. The goats climb higher and higher towards the summit, looking for different plants to eat. While the sheep veer off and settle amongst the trees. But for these little ones, the slope is steep. And it's not easy to keep the pace with these natural climbers. The little black kid grows tired. It looks very high up there. So the opportunistic little black goat decides to follow the sheep instead, along with another kid. It's less tiring. This attitude reflects a goat's individualistic character. Despite her attachment to her mother, she has decided to go off on her own in order to find some easier food. In these pastures, the animals are left to come and go as they please. Their only companion is a dog to chase away the wolves that live in these mountains. When they reach the top, the goats split again into several subgroups. Each one looks for the food they fancy, forming alliances with a few other goats according to their shared preferences. Scientists have established that goats constantly identify the other goats around them. This is thanks to their rectangular pupils that offer 320-degree vision that is equally effective straight ahead as it is on the sides. Memorizing this complex social network requires their brains to be constantly working. Scientists call this fusion-fission behavior, because the animals come together, fusion, and separate, fission, according to the circumstances. This organization has also been observed with chimpanzees. It's a sign of greater intelligence. Goats seem to be extremely clever animals. Then, at the end of the day, the different groups fuse together again. They usually meet up for a drink by the mountain chalet. Much to the delight of these hikers. But will goats approach any human without distinction? That is what our British zoologists are trying to establish. Hattie is one of the rare nanny goats to be born here because her mother was already pregnant when she arrived. She has spent her whole life in close contact with her carers and knows how to get them to understand her. But does she understand us? She is the ideal subject for this test the scientists have come up with. Recognizing our facial expressions can be critical for animals. Dogs, cats, and horses can do it, but can goats? Hattie doesn't know this face. She is curious and checks it out. First, the photograph of the girl is smiling. Then the one where she is unhappy. But the one she pays most attention to is the one with the positive emotion. She doesn't want to go anywhere near a negative-looking person who might harm her. It's the same for the majority of goats at the sanctuary. Both our pets and farm animals understand our emotions. And to attract them, it couldn't be easier. Just smile. Goats can detect human emotions and are also very emotional themselves. In Tennessee in the United States, they have a curious way of showing it. Like here on Lisa's farm. Lisa is going to select some of her goats for a show. This kid, just 2 months old, is called Sergeant Major. He's so excited by the idea of eating his grain that he falls over, his legs completely stiff. Like he's not all there. He quickly pulls himself together. But when Lisa comes to catch him, he panics. These are myotonic goats, also known as fainting goats. When they are overwhelmed or startled, instead of running away, their muscles sometimes go into spasm. It's the result of a hereditary genetic disorder called myotonia congenita. Other than falling down, the animals don't suffer, but the stiffness in their legs sometimes prevents them from jumping over obstacles. Obvious victims for any predator, they have survived thanks to the human beings with which they have developed close relationships. But this isn't yet the case for Sergeant Major. This little savage is going to be clipped for the first time in his life, before taking part in a competition to find the prettiest myotonic goat. He is frightened and runs away. Lisa finally manages to catch him.
Gotcha, little devil.
She continues clipping him, leaving the sensitive area around his neck. Too bad, that will have to do.
There you go, good boy.
As for Vintage, another potential candidate, his toilette is a very different experience. He is 6 months old and is comfortable around Lisa. Everything goes like clockwork, and she can complete all the finishing touches. It's the big day. Lisa and her favorites head off for the town of Lewisburg. Every year, fans of myotonic goats from across Tennessee come together for the Goats, Music, and More Festival. It's a first for these kids. To comfort them, Salud, an adult Billy who has already been to events like this, is accompanying them. A friend of Lisa's leads him to the site. Sergeant Major is overwhelmed. He's on a leash so he doesn't fall over, but his legs are stiff, indicating how stressed he feels. the shelter of their pens, the goats gradually get used to the visitors. There are no fainting fits among the adult myotonic goats. As they get older, they become less sensitive.
A real nice class here. It takes a little longer when you get class.
Taking part in a goat parade doesn't come instinctively. For Sergeant Major, there's still some work to be done. In the grooming area, Vintage is faced with a new situation. Despite his confidence in Lisa, this young Billy is tense. He tries to jump into her arms. And calls for help. Unsuccessfully.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Goats Music and More Festival.
The beauty contest begins with Salud's class. His gait is perfect, matching the steps of his breeder. When the judge examines him, he is very relaxed. But it's also important that he demonstrates the characteristics of the myotonic goat breed. He should have prominent eyes and large ears, and must be heavy-set and muscular, because originally these goats were used for meat. Salud fits all the criteria and wins first prize in his class. Vintage is always looking for treats. He's a very affectionate goat, but in terms of his muscle mass, he needs to put on some weight. He comes second. And how will Sergeant Major do? His training seems to have paid off. He's still a little stiff, but his placing second proves he's the kind of goat that learns fast. All of Lisa's billy goats have done really well.
Will you stop?
The festival ends with a surprising activity. These talented folks are doing yoga. The goats' pranks cause a great deal of hilarity among the participants, who enjoy some strangely random massages. Goats have been close to people for millennia and have learned to follow our movements. They get a treat for standing on somebody's back. Given their sociable characters and excellent memories, one might wonder which is the cleverest, human or caprine.
Well done.
Through their experiments, Alan and Luigi have discovered that domesticated farm goats use information from people to their advantage. We now know that, like with dogs, domestication has shaped the brains of goats. And these free spirits that have come down from the mountains also have plenty of qualities to ensure they can become our best friends.
Done?